G'day Jaffa Adventures, Terry King here. Welcome to the channel. For those of you that have been following along on my channel, you'll know that I've installed a radio antenna on the A-pillar of the car. The second part of that project is to install a 12-inch head unit from EC Offroad. Let me make it clear up front that I paid full noise for this out of my own back pocket. In my particular case, I can tell you that the installation process for this unit has been a very rocky road. I can also tell you that the unit is installed in the car now and is fully operational. So there is a happy ending to this story, but there's a lot of twists and turns along the way. So let's get stuck into the install. You can follow me along on this journey. Let's do it. Now, before we get stuck into this little project, you might be saying, what are you doing this for? I've got a VMS unit in the car at the moment, and I've been running that for the last couple of years. And it's got some on-road maps and off-road maps. The on-road maps, fantastic. Never had a drama with them. Now, with the off-road maps, they're a little bit glitchy. Not to the point where you can't use them, but to the point where it's pissing me off enough that I'm going to say, hey, time to replace this. Let's jump in the car and I'll see if I can replicate exactly what I'm talking about. All right, there's our VMS unit. It's in there beautifully. It's well made. You know, it basically looks factory, which is pretty cool. Okay, we've got our GPS signal locked. Now let's just exit out of our street maps and enter our off-road maps. And there we have it. So you can see our speed, 0 kilometers an hour, you got our position and our heading. Now here's where the glitchiness comes in. Let's see if I can make this thing glitch out. Works perfectly fine, but if I select reverse camera pops up, obviously, that's all great. If I pop it back into forward, back into our map, it's locked. See that speed? I'm traveling now and it's reading 0 kilometers an hour. I've got to shut the unit off, reboot it, and once I've rebooted it works fine. So that sort of glitchiness is just a pain in the backside for me. So that's the reason that I'm going to swap this unit out. So what do we actually have here in the box? Oh, a head unit, that's a good start. So she mounts like that in the cruiser. We got our wiring loom. That's a good start. And that's it. So that's the first potential concern for me. No destructions. Now, hopefully it'll be pretty straightforward because everything here is labeled. I have pulled the dash apart in the cruiser before, so I do know how to do that as well. But if you were taking this on yourself for the first time and you didn't know how to pull that dash apart, yeah, it could be a little bit challenging. All right, those are all your audio connections to the subwoofer, amplifier, etc. That's interesting, an OBD2 port connector. That must be the mic unit. Toyota USB connector. AV line in. That'll be for anybody with cameras like the Sahara models. A tiny little antenna, must be for the back of the unit. That would be the GPS receiver. This is USB ins to some sort of plug in the back of the radio. That is the main wiring loom. 2008 to 2015 Landcruiser. Check, that's ours. That'll be for the reverse camera. A CAN bus decoder, not sure what that is, and a qualified certificate straight from China, QC passed. Good on you, boys. Well, that's it. That's the sum total of what we've got to work with. I think what I will do to start off with is I'll actually plug these into the back of the head unit. So we've at least got one end sorted out. Okay. Let's see here. Main Toyota harness. Looks like there's only one place that sucker can go. that sucker there looks like it can only fit into that slot there. Where that goes is to anybody's guess, but that's all right. We'll work that out. This big bugger here can actually fit in any of those slots. So I don't know what's going on there. That one's labeled key 2. That one's labeled key 1. IR, break in. Okay, I got that one. OBD interface. So out of all of those plugs there, 2 fit into the back of the head unit. All right, what else have we got here? That is the AV in, which does fit into the back of the head unit. This one is the line out for your sub, your speakers, your amp, etc. That one does fit in there. Sweet. That is the Wi-Fi antenna. And this one here is our GPS, which fits here. Those two are 8mm. So we'll just tighten them up. Got an antenna lead extension here. That simply plugs in there. Good, we've got clearance for that. We got a couple of USB outs. I suspect that'll plug somewhere into the back of this unit. Good, it'll only fit in one spot. So it's gotta go there. There's a HDMI port here as well. All right, what do we got here? This is the OBD, and I did see a link here, a wire here for OBD. There it is there, OBD interface. Clicks together like that. CAN bus decoder. The hell is that? Maybe that is where our OBD port plugs into. Got our microphone. That looks like a mic port here. Yep. I'm thinking that's it. Okay, I think I've got this thing all plugged in and hooked up correctly. Anyway, that's what we've got. Let's go ahead and rip the dash of the Cruiser apart. In my previous video of the antenna install, we left off without running the cable through the firewall. So we'll pick up there before we get stuck into pulling the dash apart. So running your antenna lead back into the cabin of the car is a reasonably easy exercise. There's the fuel filter, just for reference. And down here in the firewall is a rubber grommet. And you simply pierce that rubber grommet and push your antenna lead through. So this one here is my antenna lead. Once you got that antenna lead through the firewall, it's a simple matter of picking it up in the corner here, near the passenger footwell, and running it through your dash in behind your head unit and simply plugging it in. Now the antenna lead that I got with the antenna was about 1.3 meters long. That was not long enough to make it to the head unit. I actually had to buy a 300mm extension and use that as well. So just keep that in mind if you've got the same length antenna lead that I've got. So what we've got to use to do this are a couple of plastic trim tools. I picked those up off eBay for a couple of bucks. First thing, pull off these side panels. Just grab it, and give it a firm pull, and off she comes. Again, grab it, give it a firm tug, and off she comes. Next step is to pop this off. Now your dash won't have these EGT gauges, likely it'll just be this flat panel, but the removal is exactly the same for both. Pop your trim tool into the gap and just lever up. Up she pops. Easy as that. Set that aside. Next step are these two vents. They're a little bit tricky to get out, only because they're tight. Start at the bottom, it's a little bit easier. And then they just pop out. And there's one plug on the bottom. And that's it. Vent off. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Number 2 unit off. Next step is to pull these two panels off, and they're actually screwed in place as well as clipped. So these panels have got a screw located here, and they've got a clip located here, which you just sort of push the sides in. Sorry, the screw's located up here, and it is a 10 mil. Pop you off. I've got to get my mic out of the road because it'll interfere with removal of that panel. And that panel pops out like that. Next we pull off the cigarette area and we just pop him off. Again, pretty simple with some clips. And it'll have various plugs on the back of it that you've got to undo as well. Whew. There's 4 clips on the back of that one, which is a bit of a pain in the backside to get undone, but there it is. Radio comes out first. It's got 2 bolts holding it up top, 2 bolts holding it down here, and then the whole radio unit just pulls out. All right, those are just 10 mil holding them in. All right, that just pops out. On the back of it are all of your wires and looms. So we'll unplug all of that crap. All right, there we've got it, head unit out. We'll probably need that switch, but we'll check it out. Some of you have asked where I installed the remote head UHF. That's it there inside. There's a white duct back there. I've just put some Velcro on there, stuck it onto the side of the head unit, and whacked it in place. That's it. All right, there she is. It'll sit up there like that. The first thing I note is that that hazard switch is missing. So we've got to take it out of the Toyota one and pop it in here. All right, there's our hazard switch. So we've nearly got this wired up completely. I will hook up this video line, put some shrink wrap over it so it doesn't wobble loose on me over corrugations. And we'll just shrink that down. All shrunk wrapped and done. So here's what we've got. All of these plugs that plug into the Toyota harness you can't screw up because they're all different sizes. This large plug here, which goes into the back of the main harness, is not used. And there are a bunch of wires that are terminated with little blank plates. They're not used either. There's a break-in, IR, key 1, key 2, back, and something in Chinese with no English on it. So apparently none of those are used as well. But that's it. That unit is now ready to be put back in. Okay, we've got all our plugs in now. All right, let's power this puppy up. Plug this panel back in. Before we go too much further, let's check this reverse camera. Beautiful. Okay, installed. Now, let's check whether these AC vents and things work. Cool. Rear. That works. Auto. Rear off. reverse camera still works. Let's try pairing it to a phone. So what's happened with this head unit and where are we at? Well, it's been a little bit of a saga, I must say. To start off with, there's functionality in the unit where you can put in a Google password. Now I've got my emails on the unit, I've got my YouTube account on the unit, etc. So I said, hey, you know, if somebody ever breaks into this car, they've got access to my Google account. So I'll put a password in. That was a mistake. Apparently, you can't put a password on this unit, and if you do, you fry it. So any buttons that I try and press on this unit now are completely non-functional. The only thing that works is the reverse camera, and that's it. So I talked to the supplier and said, hey, this is what's happened. They said that they've seen this happen once before, same issue, Google password, and their first suggestion for a fix was an upload of an updated software package. So after a week, I got that uploaded software package. I tried it, and this is what happened. So here's my next step. East Coast Offroad sent me a link to a zip file, which I have downloaded, and I put it on a 32 gigabyte USB card. And then the instructions were to boot the unit up and plug this into the USB port and see how we go. USB ports I've got located down here in the footwell. Let's plug it into one of them and see what happens. So that looks rather encouraging, actually. It says installing system update. Okay, so I'm reading this sideways, and here's something in Chinglish. Doing actions succeeded. Please remove USB disk. Okay, USB disk removed. Kept my password in there. That's not looking good. No, I don't like the looks of this at all, unfortunately. Gonna come up to that same screen where we're locked, I bet. There's our screen. Locked, just like she was before. Bloody awesome. So now here I still sit. I've got a pretty useless head unit in the car. Doesn't work at all. And the next step apparently is to format the unit completely and upload a brand new software package. I'm waiting for the file that will allow me to format that, and then we'll see whether that works or not. All right, we've now formatted the drive and loaded on new software, and I've just booted it up for the first time. Let's see what happens. We're in business. Okay, the problem that I've got now is that it's got a car displayed and not a cruiser. The temperature is 0 degrees Celsius, and there is no data here for the climate control system. Now, I've been told by East Coast Offroad what to do, so let's give that a crack now and see whether it fixes it. So we jump into settings, we jump into install set, we pop in our PIN, change our car type to Toyota, change it to Cruiser H. So I've hit save and reboot, and it's rebooting at the moment, and it's upside down. Awesome. I've done the system reset as instructed, and it has worked. I've got my climate control back, which is awesome. Unfortunately, the display now is upside down, so I'm waiting for instructions on how to fix that. All right, we're getting much closer now. We've got the unit sitting in an upright position, which is awesome. The way that we accomplished that was East Coast Vision and Sound sent me 2 files here that basically reset the unit back to where it needs to be. So we're in much better shape now. Still got a little bit of work to do, and that's probably more customization work than anything else. So for example, if I jump onto the home screen, apparently these car logos here, you can actually get those changed and you can customize them to your own vehicle. That would be super cool. So I'm going to give that a crack. So where are we at now? On the original issue, the password protect I placed on my Google account. That was the root cause of all the issues that I've had. If you don't password protect it, I believe the installation process would have been problem free. On the whole password issue, my position is that such functionality should not even exist on the unit if it can have catastrophic consequences. Or there should at least be a big flashing warning saying, hey, don't do this. I don't want to put words in the mouth of the supplier, but I'm sure their position would be that all the issues have been my fault because I put the password lock on the unit in the first place. Perhaps I'm the idiot for unwittingly putting the password in. You guys have seen the honest review here. You be the judge. I have to say that EC Offroad and Cale Wells in particular have moved heaven and earth to get me sorted. He's been responsive to my messages and even engaged with corrective actions on a holiday Monday and on Sunday. So thank you for that, Cale. As it stands now, the unit's not entirely set up to my liking, but I believe all these issues are customization issues, and I'll be able to sort them out over the coming days. I will road test the unit over the next month and provide one final video on how I think it stacks up. I'll be comparing it to the original factory unit, which was not much chop, and the VMS unit, which I pulled out. My first impression with the unit so far is that its functionality and its ability to be customized is way beyond my expectations. I can also say the audio quality craps all over my factory unit and the VMS unit. So guys, hit subscribe if you want to see that final video coming out in 4 or 5 weeks time. I certainly appreciate you spending your time with me today. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time everybody, keep the shiny side up. Have a good one. Bye now.